There we are. Now let's get our notes all set up. There we are. It is amazing. What would we do without all of this great technology? What would we do? So hi, everybody. I'll tell you, does my hair look yellow? Someone told me that my hair, did I ask me if I dyed my hair blonde? Maybe it's just getting light. Here we go. And hello, South Florida. Welcome to the midweek edition of the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show. We are here live Monday through Friday, broadcasting from Boca Raton on our AM station, the 1470, on the FM station at 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and 103.9 FM, not to mention all of those broadcast live on your favorite app, the iHeartRadio app. Good evening there, Cindy. And we are here also on our website at automaticlandlord.com. I invite you to go check out automaticlandlord.com, not only because we stream it live there via the internet, crystal clear, anywhere you happen to have internet access, you can listen to this show. But you can also listen to the past editions of the Real Estate Show. And all you have to do is go to the top of the page, either on our Facebook page or on our website at Automatic Landlord. And you can then go to the radio show notes, which will have a short summary of today's show. And it'll have a link to the podcast version where you can either listen to right there or download it, take it with you offline. So no matter how you listen to us, we hope that you will call, click, or visit us here on the air. And we got a great week. As I said, Happy New Year. It's July 1st. And I said July 1st, I was going to treat it like a brand new year. Should have brought some champagne here to share with you guys on the show. But last week, I spent the entire week sort of kind of poking you, maybe cajoling you a little bit, saying, are you 6 months behind or are you ready for the 6 months ahead? And I will tell you that the majority of the people that I speak to are still watching, or maybe even thinking that they're driving by looking through the rearview mirror. And they're lamenting the numbers, the closures, now the reclosures and everything. And basically they're stuck in the mud, in place, feeling that 2020 so far has been a lost year. And for some people, it may have been. I've already been through enough of the examples of why I think that 2020 has been a very interesting year on a whole bunch of different levels. From, I think, the realization of most people's mobility, that they didn't even realize how they could perform their work, and even their employers are realizing how they can perform their work at a distance, unsupervised, and that truly motivated, truly responsible employees do their job, and in some case, I think even better, because they have the flexibility to determine how they do the work. Now they have the freedom, but with freedom comes the obligation to deliver a finished product. And so I see some employees working longer hours than they normally would, because the pride in the work of what they do makes sure that they'll get it done. And quite honestly, I think they also like the situation, and they don't want to have the situation cut any shorter than it might need to be. I think a lot of people are going to experience new liberties in their jobs, in their work. And certainly here on the Real Estate Show, we want you to try to create that liberty, design that life for yourself. Now, I was just before this show, I was listening to another coach friend of mine who was actually talking about how you can design a profitable business and have a great life at the same time. And as long as you follow the 4 stages of, and then, that's his program. And, it's almost like it's the same story that we talk about here. Quite frankly, I can't even tell you that I invented. I think I have learned or relearned or learned and adapted a story and a process and a system, which I call the automatic landlord system, which I talk about here on the air all of the time. And he was talking about it from a more general point of view. And he was talking about how, number one, and we talked about this on Monday, you got to have a why. The why is really the foundation for everything, because without a why, it's kind of like building a house without a foundation. You wouldn't do it. You just couldn't do it. Just picture, what would be the reaction if someone went to the bank with builder's plans, and the bank looks at the plans and they says, well, where's the foundation? And they say, well, I haven't gotten to that point yet. And obviously everything is out of order from the beginning when you don't have a why. And so I showed you the book of why. I showed you a whole bunch of things, and I offered here for those of you who want to follow me on this New Year's journey. If you wanted a copy of the planner, I said I'll give it to you for free, because I want as many of you to follow along in parallel. You can do it anonymously. You can basically, this is what a lot of coaching programs charge $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 for a 6-month long intensive day-by-day coaching program, and you're getting it right here literally for free. Now, it's been my experience that people who get things for free don't value them very much, and when they don't value things, they don't dedicate themselves very much. So right now, that's on you. This is my COVID-19 gift to you. And so we started off the week talking about the why. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you got to now set up a plan. And I have found over the years, as I have done this with numerous, dozens and dozens and dozens of coaching students, that I, we have this conversation. They buy into and accept the fact that you have to have a why. Sometimes we'll spend an entire day, 24 hours, working just on the why. And you'll be surprised how many people have a difficult time expressing. It's one thing. I think all of us know the why up here. The question and the question is, do you have the why right here? And in your heart versus in your head. And then here's the big test. Tell somebody, and you probably have to find somebody that you know, like, and trust, but tell them what your why is. Express it, and you will find, this is a very interesting revelation, is that what is perfectly clear inside your head is not so very clear. A lot of times you'll say something to the other person and they look at you and they'll go like, what do you mean by that? Or how do you mean? Because it is not until you can actually write it down and then slip that piece of paper for somebody else to read and you not explain it, then it's clear. Then you have something that's worth now taking off and working on. So the issue here is you got to have that clear why. We focused on that on Monday, and then as normal on Tuesdays, our tools, tips, and techniques edition, I brought in a guest, and this one came. I announced it would be, but I announced that it was going to be a mysterious guest, and for purposes that'll be revealed over the next few weeks. Right now, we'll refer to him as Foreclosure Man, somebody who is extremely well versed in the area of foreclosures, not only as to how they work, and I'll tell you, he knows how they work as good as any attorney that I have met at the courthouse, in a law firm, at a law office, or anywhere else. He's that knowledgeable. He's also, I'll tell you, probably go a little bit deeper, because he can tell you about the reasons behind the decisions behind the tools and the paperwork that you sign, where the bodies lie, where the mistakes in the paperwork lie, and he can tell you probably by lender the faultiness of their documentation. And nowhere else have I ever seen someone be willing to put up the money for the attorney on the foreclosure defense if he believes that you have a case. And the consultation is free. He'll tell you whether you have a case or not, and I'll tell you more often than not you have a case. And the sooner it is, the better that you contact him, that you will get the paperwork going, and there's more options earlier. As the time frame narrows down, the options do begin to slip away. And here's the interesting thing: you call up most attorneys the day before you're going to the courthouse, that you're going to go for your final judgment. I'll tell you that most attorneys will say, I'm sorry, it's too late, we can't stop the bank, we can't stop the court. Foreclosure Man can and will do that. He'll show you how to do that. So if you're interested in contacting him directly, let me see if I still have his phone number. Yeah, here it is. It's 561-758-4110. Super interesting. If you want to listen to the entire interview, go to automaticlandlord.com. Go to the real estate show notes at the top. Go to yesterday's show, should be up there by now. And you can listen to the whole conversation, and you'll see by listening to my interview that everything that I said is true. Otherwise, call them directly at 561-758-4110. So that brings us to today, our midweek report. And every Wednesday, we stop for a minute and we take a breather, take a step back, and then we look at the market and what's going on. Not so much that we're trying to play the role of reporter, although given today's sensationalistic reporting and given today's agenda-driven reporting, you know what? Maybe it's not fair for me to say that I don't have an agenda, because I do have an agenda. It's a very clear agenda, and that is to help you make more money with real estate. So everything that I look for in the news is with an eye as, how does this affect us as real estate owners and real estate buyers? And how do I use the news or where the trends are going in order to be, at where the proverbial puck is going to be, so that I can take advantage? Now, stocks rose, were mostly mixed in the market today. And you're seeing that we've had some crazy volatility. And every time there's really bad news, the stock market pulls back a bit. And every time they digest it, sleep on it, the next day they come back and make up most of that lost ground. So much so is that we are within record territory. And much of what I'm reading here has to do with the market basically digesting the bad information and saying, got it, we're still going forward. So at the end of the day, what I can tell you is that U.S. stocks were up a little bit, 120 points, I think, last time I looked at the end of the day. And it was largely more positive because of some very positive vaccine progress, some results coming out of some of the big pharmaceuticals. And that was giving hope that once we can either find a vaccine or be able to treat people and take away a lot of the concerns, then we can move forward with the economy, which, P.S., 90 days ago was very, very strong. And what we're feeling and hearing right now, in fact, when I finish with today's report, and I'm gonna go into a couple of areas that you might not find directly related to real estate, but I'll tell you why they directly are related to real estate and why these underpinnings are really helping out. So we're getting some preliminary jobs data. Now, remember I said that the first Friday after the end of the month is when they release the prior month's jobs report from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Now, ahead of that, one of the largest job tracking companies out there, ADP, that performs payroll services for millions of people across the country, they often will release their numbers, which are usually pretty much in line, and I'll even say a fair prediction of what the Bureau of Labor and Statistics are. And what ADP said was, in fact, let me go down here. Meanwhile, the June employment report from ADP released Wednesday afternoon showed us that companies added 2.3 million jobs in the month of June. Less, here's the bad news, less than economists had expected. So remember, we lost, somewhere north of 30, 40 million in that vicinity, and we're putting jobs back at the rate of about 2.5 million a month on average from the last 2 months. So it was considered negative information. Hey, Happy New Year, Mike. One of our regular listeners wishing me a Happy New Year because this is the new year. And so it also revised their May numbers. This is ADP, not the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, to be clear. They revised their May numbers from a net loss of jobs of 2.76 to 3.07. So about 250,000 more numbers added to that negative number. So the S&P 500 ended at 3,117, up 0.6%. So again, remember I said very marginal. Dow Jones Industrial ended 25,800. So we're still bumping on that 26,000 number. And many people now in the news are starting to say that 30,000 by the end of the year or in the next year is very possible if we can get over this COVID hump. The NASDAQ composite, 10,100, and that was up 0.8, almost 1%. So overall, stock analysts are having their moment in the sun right now as the markets get flipped upside down, flopped back and forth, and pushed around because they all are being looked at for some sort of guidance. So what I want to do right now, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break, hear a few words from our sponsors. I got a whole bunch and some very critical numbers that I want to share with you here on our midweek report. So don't touch that dial. You're listening to the midweek report here on the Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Wilner, and I will be right back. So Simone, look at my hair. Does it still look colored? I got a couple of people telling me that it looked like I dyed my hair blonde, but I think it must be the light because it is not painted any color whatsoever. Mike, Happy New Year. I'm glad you're on the theme here. So I've been telling everybody that July 1st is my New Year's Day. And I honestly, I should have brought a little bit of champagne. I would have loved to share. I'll do it Friday. We'll have our Friday champagne to kick off the new year and the 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. Breaks my heart. I heard that California, not only were they shutting down all of their beaches, but they outlawed, they canceled all fireworks. I was hoping that they would do fireworks, sun-kissed. That's right. It's my sun-kissed hair. I have been getting more sun than usual, not because I'm laying out in the sun, but I've been spending a little more time on my runs, enjoying the outdoor, the outside air. Not champagne, but it's still very refreshing. Marcio Oliveira. So we got listeners from California. Fernando, my good friend. Sponsors. We had another great interview yesterday from Foreclosure Man, and he's got some very interesting outlooks coming up. We're going to be having him back on Tuesday coming up. Fernando, I would love to see maybe about next Wednesday if you're available to talk again, because we've been talking about the 6 stages of a real estate investor, and 1, 2, 3 of the stages are highly affected by credit, and our conversation got such good play. Two folks yesterday joined us on the Time to Fix My Credit site signing up. So very excited about that, and looking forward to making sure that their journey is right up the ladder. So here's in fact, let me take off my headset. Here's a promotion here.
Security, WMD. What
happened? Very sensitive. Let's see here if I can change this. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Let me make sure that I have it back in my headset here. Hello, hello. Make sure I didn't lose my connection here. Okay, our connection is still there on the radio show. And now let's see, do I still have my Bluetooth connected to, yeah, the pods are there. Dan, I don't hear anything. I'm not getting any feed from the radio station if you can hear me. All right. Didn't get the intro, so welcome back. For those of you just joining us, you are listening to The Real Estate Show as we kind of bounce back and forth. Remember, in fact, I also mentioned, between all of the radio stations that were listed on AM and FM stations, along with the iHeartRadio streaming and the internet streaming at automaticlandlord.com, I did neglect to mention that we're live on Facebook as well. If you just go to The Real Estate Show, be sure to join us there, like us, love us, send us a thumbs up, give us a couple of thumbs. I see the thumbs up floating up on the screen there. We're also broadcasting live on YouTube now. So lots of different ways. We're experimenting with all sorts of technology. And again, one of the silver linings that we've been talking about along in this whole COVID thing, that if you haven't progressed, and it's funny, as I was talking about the coach that I was on before this radio show started out, he was saying how everything, all the different things that we said we would do if we had more time, and now that we have this COVID confinement, we have more time, right? We at least have gained the time of our commutes. And we certainly have a lot of flexibility. So all those things that you said you were going to learn or take a class or read another book or study this, did you do that? Are you doing it right now? If you're not, I submit to you that you've got a time management problem. And really, in fact, it's not even a time management problem, because my contention is that there is no such thing as time management. You and I don't and cannot manage time. We can only manage our activity. And where that activity then comes in is that we need activity management, or what I like to call time blocking. And there's a very interesting process. In fact, in my coaching clients, it's the one thing that I can set someone very clear on what their why is, clearer than they ever knew that they knew. And then I can talk about what their goals might be. We can set up a very clear plan. And I used to send people off with those very critical 2 documents, and yet nothing would happen. I'd contact them 90 days later, 6 months later, a year later, and they were right back where I left them. And I was wondering, like, what happened? And I figured out the critical link on that bridge and how to get them from concept to application, from theory to doing. And that's what that one little critical piece is important. But we're running out of time, and I wanted to cover a couple more little critical pieces of data right here. One of them, okay, as I mentioned before, the Dow was up 128 points today. No big thing. That indexes that affected was, number one, was the Fed talk. And yesterday's congressional testimony by Federal Chairman Powell and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin failed to yield any major surprises nor much of a reaction in the marketplace, which is why we have this sort of status quo. The ADP employment numbers, I already talked about those, and those were offset, again, by the positive news from the pharmaceuticals. The ISM, or the Institute for Supply Management, Eric, this is a real estate show. Why are you telling me about manufacturing? But the highly important Institute for Supply Management's June Manufacturing Index was released this morning. They announced a reading of 52.6 that exceeded expectations of an index of 49, indicating that manufacturing sentiment about business conditions was much stronger than expected. The stock market is confident, consumers are confident, real estate is confident, and so is everybody else. That's why we're chugging along. So stay tuned, because we're going to keep updating you. I'm out of time to give you more of the FOMC meetings and some of the other stuff I wanted to share with you. But join us each and every day here on The Real Estate Show. Tell a friend, share this information with others. But most importantly, you be back right here, same place, same time tomorrow, because we got a great show tomorrow for our All About the Money edition of The Real Estate Show. So until then, this is Eric Wilner signing off. Drive safe, wash those hands, make it a great day, and God bless America. How do you like that? So let's shut down the stream there. I'm going to close down the YouTube first. I just want to let you guys on YouTube, before I shut you down, that there is a chat, and I do watch that for questions there. So if you guys have any comments or questions during the show, be sure to write those there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys again tomorrow for a really good show. That's you.